Hello and welcome to Gank
Gank
That
That Drank.
Drank. Ooh, yours was so much crisper than mine.
Mine is a hard kombucha this evening, a June Shine hard kombucha.
Ooh. Welcome to Gank That Drank, a supernatural drinking game podcast. It's the podcast where we make up drinking game rules for one of our favorite episodes of our favorite show, Supernatural. We recap the episode for you. We tell you how the drinking game rules play out. And then we tell you what episode is coming up next and what the drinking game rules are for that. All while sipping some delightful adult beverages.
Or non-adult beverages. You can still play along and just drink whatever you want, but it's more fun. Not that we
Or
condone.
don't drink, just
Or
listen.
don't
It's,
drink.
it's
Yeah. It's fun. It's a
do
fun
what
time.
feels right.
Yeah, exactly.
It
You do
is.
you. Team free will.
Team free will. You could be a dean. You could be a dean or a Sam. You could be drinking the whole time like a season 4 dean. Or you can be drinking almost none of the time, like a season always Sam.
Like most seasons, Sam. There's like a few episodes where Sam decides he's gonna have a bender, I think.
Yep.
One season where he doesn't have a soul, I think there's like probably several like drinks in a montage or something.
Yeah.
There has to be. Yeah. No, season 4, Krissy. That's where we're at.
But we didn't say who we are. I skipped that part because
fine.
I was chatty. I was being chatty.
It's all
I'm
good.
Krissy Lenz of the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona.
And I'm Nate McWhorter of the Neighborhood Comedy Theater in downtown Mesa, Arizona. And it's awesome to be here with you once again, Krissy, for my episode this week.
It's your episode this week.
And
what episode are we doing?
We are doing season 4, episode 8, Wishful Thinking. We're going in the Wayback Machine.
Classic.
It's a classic. Many classic elements and many classic moments in this episode. This is one I feel like has several moments that end up in a lot of then sequences later on, and then also have are just great for clip shows. They probably every time they could put together a clip show, this one would be on it because there's just so many iconic, like just frames. Just scenic moments in this episode. And yeah, so it's a favorite of mine. I'm not going to lie. I feel like coming up with a drinking game for this was very hard. And that's why one of our rules is one of our rules. So is because I just felt like it was really hard to actually, because like not really a whole lot happens. Like stuff happens, right, but it's all very random and like that's the kind of point of the episode, right? The episode is all about chaos. So in that chaos, I found it hard to come up with good rules. So we do have some rules though for this episode. They go thusly. I'm gonna actually start off the top by saying that all these rules, normally we're just doing one drink or whatever. This is a double episode. This is a double drinking episode, a 2-timer, if you will, because
a double up.
You're doubling everything up. Everything's double value. The double Jeopardy round, if you will. It's because the boys are in a themed hotel room in this episode, and I love me a themed hotel room, and I know that's
I do too.
Yeah, so we're putting the 2 times modifier on here for all our rules this evening because they're in a great themed hotel. Our first rule being pop culture references. Go ahead and take a drink for a good pop culture reference. I went ahead and threw a son of a bitch in there. I thought there was maybe more, but we'll get to that. Then there are, and then then there's the hell is going on in this town as a quote.
I love a quote rule.
Yeah, I love good quote rules. Anytime someone takes a penny in or out of the well, or a coin in or out of the well, I should say. Anytime Dean eats or drinks. If we get the Dean dream, And then anytime someone says "be careful what you wish for,"
Mm-hmm.
kneel before Todd is our shot for the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Kneel
Mm-hmm.
before Todd. And then I did not say this. I added a rule in my rewatch, Krissy. So there will be an
Oh,
extra
okay.
bonus rule for quote, "I love you more than anything."
Oh,
So
that's a good one.
there's a character who says that quite a few times, and so that's kind of ends up being almost a hero rule for the whole episode because I was like, I yeah,
That's a good one.
it was hard. It was hard, and I can't believe that on my first watch through I didn't like pull that one out as a thing. And then it was not until my second watch through that I was like, oh yeah, that should be a rule. So if you already watched and played with the original rules from last episode, apologies. Have fun playing it with this additional one. So yeah, let's. Are you ready
Yeah,
to get
yeah.
into season 4, episode
I
8?
am ready for wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking. Then recap is just kind of mostly about like uh Dean coming back from hell and stuff, and
Yep.
like he can or whether he can or cannot remember what happened in hell. And you have the angel, not Galadriel, what's his but
Castiel.
well, not
Uriel.
Cass, well, yeah, Guriel, yeah, Uriel, yeah, you have him like trying to convince the all this angel, it's all angel stuff. It's season 4, it's all angel stuff. Angely things are happening. Does not really have like a whole lot of bearing on this episode other than some of Dean's like you get the like dream and then you get the like kind of a little bit of the hell talk or whatever that goes on in this episode. So
Right. It's like they're just trying to remind us, like, okay, this is a Monster of the Week episode, but don't forget, Dean went to
here's
hell
the
and he's having
story.
trauma.
Yeah. So it's not a main focal point. There's not really much you could probably do to like set anything in this episode up because it's a great monster of the week. So we get to now, and we are in a what appears to be a locker room of sorts. And there is a woman who is showering, and she feels like she kind of get it's basically like very like Hitchcockian Psycho uh, kind of moment going on here,
Mm-hmm.
and you see like I don't know if it's a
A glimpse.
reflection. It's like a reflection of the kid or whatever in the door, and then basically she yeah gets the feeling that she's being watched or whatever, and then she throws the towel on the kid,
Mm-hmm.
and it lands on him, but he's invisible, and that's when she starts screaming, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Anderson," or whatever her name was. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm sorry. We end up finding out in her testimony to the boys later on that she claims that the boy pushed her, that the ghost, because it was she thinks it's a ghost, uh, pushed her down the stairs, but really she just fell. And then he helped her up. The ghost helped her up. What a nice
Yeah.
kid to be like invisible, totally naked in front of his teacher or whatever, and like still was like polite enough to help her up after scaring her. Like I totally would have probably
I
just
don't know
ran
if
off
I'd
in
go
that
far enough to
situation.
call him polite. I think
He's not polite. He's a creepo,
he's a
but like
predator. Yeah.
yeah, he's definitely a predator. Just but he at least helped her up. Uh, so we don't know any of that yet though because we that just leads us to our title card is when she kind of screams or whatever. Um, so we cut to the boys who are like just looking for anything and they sit down and they're like, is there anything going on? Is there uh like no demon activity, no nothing? And he's like, all I got is this, like this weird little case of a ghost. And Dean's like, naked women in showers? I'm there. Like, say no
Let's
more.
go.
Like we're paying our
Yeah.
tab. We're leaving right now. Like I'm gonna save some hotties in a shower. Like it's very early supernatural, like toxically masculine joking going on. Which
Yeah.
this episode's got quite a bit of several moments of some of those things. So yeah, the boys they make their way to town, and Sam pretends to be like he's writing a book. About, this is really like one of the funniest jokes. And she's like, "Oh, what's the book called?" He's like, "Supernatural."
Yeah. And he's like, I could tell that you're sensitive. I could get that from you.
Yeah, she says I'm sensitive. So he kind of like realizes like, okay, this is not like, this lady's like blowing a bunch of smoke. This is not a thing. This is not our type of deal. Although he does kind of pay attention to the couple in the corner, one of it, who ends up being our antagonist for this episode.
They're
An unusual,
canoodling.
yeah, they're canoodling. It's a very unusually paired couple. A lot of unusually if you're shallow. And so so Sam just like goes back to Dean and is like, well, I don't think it's anything. And Dean is like, dang it, like, no, like I was really hoping we get to save some hot women in the show, and this is nothing. And as they're like saying, well, let's get out of town, they see like some guy hollering at the cops nearby. And this
Yeah.
is also
Literally hollering.
yeah, literally hollering. They also, right before that, witness a small child running from a gang of larger children looking like they were going to beat that small kid up. And Dean goes, "Run, Forrest, run." That's a pop culture reference. Take a drink. I'm so bad
Take
at
a drink.
going, like, hitting the rules as they go. You're so much better at that in these recaps than I am. Does not matter. We each do the recaps in our own way, but, like, dang. I want to try to get better at that. So, yeah, he does the run, Forrest, run. And we go over to the man hollering about what he says is a Bigfoot. There's a Bigfoot out there. I swear it was like walking like a person, and it like, what else could it be? It didn't have. It's not a bear track. I know what bear tracks look like. It's a straight up Bigfoot. And the boys were like, "Well, we're gonna go and find this out." And Dean's like, "Everyone knows that Bigfoot isn't real." Yet again, another instance of Dean taking like this just assumption that things aren't real, and when they are live in a world of things that you think wouldn't be real.
Well, Sammy says it too, though. He's like, any hunter with the salt knows
Where the
there's no
salt knows
Bigfoot.
everything Bigfoot, right? But like, but are they so sure? Like, they used to doubt the
I know.
angels were real, and
What if
now
they
they're
saw
like,
a Bigfoot?
yeah. It just always blows my mind whenever they have these two boys be so like incredulous that something might exist. It's like, but would they be? Like,
Wendigos are real. Chupacabras are real.
they've come across Greek gods. I just, anyway, it's such an interesting choice that I think when they make that. Anyway, so the boys go out into the forest, or they go out into the woods or whatever, and they're like, oh man, those are Bigfoot tracks. Holy cow!
They're just
And
big feet.
just big feet. Yeah, they're like just giant feet. Which also, that's an interesting, anyway. Because of what makes those, it wouldn't have that kind of footprint, right?
Nope.
It would just be like big circles.
Big
Just be
circles.
like big circles because there's a big teddy bear. So yeah, the boys then they kind of follow it to a liquor store that they go in and see has been ransacked, absolutely
Totally
torn to
trashed.
pieces, completely trashed, and they more toxic. I should have had toxic masculinity as a rule, because Dean says, "Oh, he's drinking what is it, Bailey's and Kahlua or Bailey's and something."
Irish cream.
He's like a girl great drink drunk.
Did you count that
Uh,
as a pop culture reference to Kids in the Hall?
I did not. So you were definitely gonna have some different. Yeah, I didn't know that was a Kids in the Hall reference.
They have a sketch called Girl Drink Drunk.
Oh, I think maybe
I
I've
don't
seen
know if it's an intentional
it.
reference,
Don't
but
know
I
if
counted it.
yeah, I bet you it is. It has to be. So he also this perpetrator who they do not yet know who or what it is. This Bigfoot has cleared out the porno rack, and Dean's like impressed.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. So they're kind of, and then we get this great moment. I love this moment where the two of them just are like sitting on the steps of this liquor store, just stumped.
Thinking. Yeah.
Like
They're
just
just
not
like lost
like
in thought.
the music great, the little like just like a little couple twangs of a guitar, like wah, wah, and like they're just like, huh. Like we don't see that very often ever in Supernatural. They just sit there and they're just stumped. And it's fine that they're stumped. Like other times, yeah, they're stumped, but it's like it's gonna mean the end of the world or one of them's gonna die or whatever. It's like just they're just like, what is this? Of course that
What
might
could
be,
this be?
yeah. I may be thinking that that is after, I don't know. I don't remember when that moment happens, but I'm gonna pretend it happens at this because I it might happen after they meet the teddy bear. Anyway, they because I thought it was that moment when they're sitting there that the
No, it's
girl
right
rides
then.
by.
It's when they're sitting
It is
there
right.
and she
Okay,
rides by.
yeah, she rides by, and our favorite trademark supernatural pornographic material, busty Asian beauties, falls out of her bag. And Dean picks it up and says, "She's a little young for busty Asian beauties, isn't she?" And they follow her to the liquor store, where she leaves just a box of porn and and booze, and says sorry with a note. Just a note says sorry. And so they follow the little girl back to her house, and she answers the door. No parents, and she tells the boys like, she's she's like, "Oh no, he said he was like he didn't mean to," and they're like, "Well, who?" And she's reveals that it's the teddy bear, and they say, "Well, good thing is we're teddy bear doctors." Now the boys still think that they're gonna come in and they're gonna see just like a teddy bear or whatever. Like they don't know what they're gonna see. They have no idea. They're still stumped as they get to this door. So they go upstairs, and she's on the whole way up saying that she wished for her teddy bear to come to life, and he did. And the problem is, he's always just sad. He's
Yeah.
not ouch sad, but ouch in the head sad.
Yeah.
And she's just like, he's always really like just depressed and cranky. And they open the door, and there's a giant life-size teddy bear that is talking and is like drinking and is like, close the freaking door. It's like watching the news. It's just like watching Fox News or
Yeah, he's
whatever.
watching the
Like,
news.
yeah,
At first,
it's
I
just
thought he was
very,
watching porn and I was grossed out. But no, it
no,
turns out he's watching the
it's the
news.
news. Yeah, he's like, are you seeing this? Yeah, he's this very like uh, existential crisis, like just completely whatever. Like life has no meaning. This very depressed bear.
Yeah, he says, "What am I here for?" And she goes, "Tea parties." And
Part
he's like, "Tea parties? Is that all there is?"
and the boys just slowly close the door. Still very stumped, and Sam is like, "Are we gonna really take out this teddy bear? Like, how? How? What are we gonna
Yeah.
burn it? Are we gonna shoot it? What are we gonna like get it iron, salt? Like what's gonna what are we doing?" So they asked the girl like, "Where are your parents?" She goes, "My mom wished for them to be in Belize, so I guess they're in Belize." And she tells them that she threw the penny into the wishing well at at this restaurant, not well named and could have been a better name, Lucky Chin's uh, Asian restaurant where they like have a little wishing well or whatever with the Buddha, and so the boys are like, okay, we gotta go check this out. So they go in, and Dean, they tell the girl to go stay with a neighbor or whatever, and then Dean goes in and tosses the coin into the well, take a drink,
Yep. Take a drink.
uh, and wishes for a very specific sandwich, which immediately gets delivered. Just immediately is delivered.
Walks right through
And
the door.
yep, just comes right in. And as Dean's eating it, and he's sitting there, and he's like, "It's a pretty good sandwich. I was pretty specific. Like this is some pretty magical whatever's going on here." The owner of the restaurant comes over and says, "No outside food." And the boys are like, well, we wouldn't eat the food here because we're health inspectors. They shut the whole place down so they can drain the wishing well so they can try to figure out what it is. And like the wishing well is just like a regular old thing, plaster, blah, blah, blah. Turns out they finally see this coin, this like very like old looking, definitely not a US coin,
Yeah.
down at the bottom of the well, and they can't pull it up. They can't get it off the bottom. So Dean goes out and gets like the crowbar, the bottom of the well. They can't get it up. The owner is like freaking out because he's like, everything is clean, everything is normal. And like both of them are like making up these like citations they're gonna give him, and then like giving each other like winking looks as they say these things. And the owner just like, what, huh? So Dean goes out, gets a crowbar and a sledgehammer and try to get this coin up. Does not do the trick. Breaks the sledgehammer. The owner
Goes
is,
flying.
yeah, the owner of this place is freaking out. Sledgehammer head goes flying. It's another great moment. And the boys and I were like, okay, so they do the worst sketch of it possible. I don't even know how were just able to decipher anything. Uh, they split up because all of a sudden Sam is like, "Oh, I just thought of something," and
Mm-hmm.
Dean's like, "I'm gonna go do some research." Sam goes
Which is like
to the
the opposite of what they usually do. First of all, Sam goes and does research, and Dean goes off to take after naked people. But like, what occurred to Sam?
right
Like, what occurred to him? He's like, oh, you know what? Now that I
that
think about it, the lady with the ghost, like, it was probably a naked
it was
teenager.
probably a naked teenager. Yeah,
And also, what he just waltzed into that locker room, like,
I still can't believe that. Every time I watch it, I'm like, and he just walked right in and like knew the kid was there. Like, huh? I guess the
huh?
footprints of the kid. It was just, yeah, that was very odd. So yeah, Sam stops the kid from peeping on this lady, and which then she would have had to have pressed charges against because she saw him, right?
She saw
Like,
him,
yeah, she has to eventually press charges against this kid. He gets his comeuppance later on, but
sort of.
um, so yeah, Sam's like, I want you to walk out of here. You can turn it on and off. He's like so like impressed, but then like not, and he's like, get out of here, stay visible. Tells the kid off. We cut to Dean in our wonderfully tiki themed hotel room, which I want to stay in someday. Just a
Yeah.
wonderful tiki themed hotel, just brilliant. Um, and Dean, actually, we aren't in the hotel room yet because we're actually on the way to the hotel room when Dean starts getting the tummy rumblies,
Yep. And he
starts
sees
getting
the little kid
little
again.
bubble gut, and he sees the little kid again. Yes, and uh, the this time the kid is chasing after the
The
big
other
kids,
kids.
and he stops because we had actually seen this kid earlier when we first came into the Chinese restaurant. The kid like had just tossed a penny in the well, take a drink, and like leaves at like right and like kind of brushes past the boys on his way out or whatever. So we did see that kid. We see Todd. We don't know he's Todd yet, but then we get the moment where he's chasing the big kids. He stops. He looks over at Dean. You got a problem, Mister? And Dean's like scared. He's like,
No.
no, no. He doesn't even know why he's scared yet. He's just scared of this kid. So then Dean starts getting the tummy rumblies. We cut to we cut to him in the bathroom, and Sam comes in the door, and, and I forget Sammy saying something about whatever, and then Dean's like, "They turn bad, Sam. They turn bad.
They
The
turn
wishes
real
turn
bad.
bad. They turn real bad." He's like, "Sandwich." He's like, "Huh." So kid wishes to be invisible. Girl wishes teddy bear to life. And Dean's already done research too. Like he's been in the bathroom, but he's done research already. Um, it's like what is it, Babylonian?
Babylonian. It's
Babylonian
from the god
coin.
of chaos.
Yes, the
Tiamat, the god
Babylonian
of
god of,
chaos.
yeah. It's so powerful. It's wiped a couple cities off the map because it just, when everybody gets their wish, then that's not good, because there needs to be law and order, and everyone needs to be unhappy and miserable all the time.
No.
That's what it kind of seems like they're saying.
I mean, that's kind of the boys' point of view on it.
Yeah, we should have it should have been nihilism, should have been a drinking game rule.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So they got the only way to rid the well of this curse, make everything stop, go back the way it was, is for the original wisher to pull the coin out of the well. Well, how are we going to find out? We also, like, we've seen a newspaper article where a guy won, like, the lottery. Like, everybody's wishes are coming true in this town. Everyone knows the secret's out about this wishing well. So it's only a matter of time before it really starts doing damage. And they see, I guess people still do this, or maybe in whatever year this was, they still did this, but a nuptial announcement in the newspaper. Now, this is the town of Concrete, Washington, which is the only population as of 2010, 705 people. So
it's a surprise engagement.
Yeah. Surprise engagement. Not a lot of people in this town. And this couple that we had seen canoodling a couple times in this episode already, they're the ones getting hitched. And it turns out they met just about a month ago when all this freaky deaky wish stuff started happening. So the boys naturally head to this guy, and we get this great moment where it's not a great moment. This whole thing is kind of gross. This whole guy and the relationship, it's all gross. But the moment I love is like the second beat of the scene. The first beat is this is where you get to the "I love you more than anything." We see this guy sitting in like what can only be described as like a 1970s apartment, house, whatever. He's sitting in like the world's oldest recliner, watching the world's oldest TV,
watching the world's oldest movie
show on it. Like it just, this guy was so
dated.
Gross.
He's like a blast from a past.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's kind of the way then his fiance is, and she comes in and she's like, "Oh, I made you a snack," and it's like a full on like,
it's like a full roasted
dinner.
Turkey. It's got those little like white paper crowns, ruffles on the feet that you only see in cartoons.
Right. It looked like a cartoon plate of food. It was a cartoonish plate of food. It looked very, And she's like, "I just made you a snack, but I love you more than anything." And he's like, "No, what makes," like, even this dude is like, "Oh no, like it's all backfiring. Like all I wanted was for someone who loved me more than anything. But what does that actually mean? Oh no."
And he's like, "You need to start doing some of the things that you used to do that made you happy." And she's like, "You're mad at me. I'll die.
Yep. So we start seeing like, okay, this is how the wish is going to turn on this guy. And the boys pop in, and she answers the door, and then she pops back and she goes, "Honey, you didn't tell me you called the florists." And like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see how they pull off trying to be florists. Like, all I want, and I'm so glad we kind of get a little bit of the payoff. I would have loved more of a payoff in this situation, but she's like, "I'm gonna go get my samples," and that's when the boys have the heart to heart with the guy of like, "How's it really going? Like, huh? What do you think? What?" And like, "That's an interesting collection of coins on the wall." "Oh, it was my grandfather's." They're like, "Yeah, look, the jig is up. We know what you did, and you got to come unwish it." Meanwhile, while they're doing this, the fiance, she's like hearing all of it in the other room, because that's how houses work. I love when people think you can just go to another room and not hear somebody.
Right.
Full on conversation, which like it happens in TV and movies all the time, where it's like, "Oh, we're just in the next room, no one can hear us," on sitcoms especially. I'm like, no, you can usually hear people in the next room. Over typically, especially when you're talking in stage voices, because anyway,
or you're threatening people.
So or you're threatening or whatever. So they're threatening, they're saying, "We got to do this." She's like concerned, because again, her whole worldview now is that this dude is everything. So she pops back in and she's like, "Oh, I was thinking it has like all these concepts," and the boys are like, "I can see that." They do good improv. They say yes and um,
Yeah.
they would just say yes and then shuffle away. But they're gonna take our I don't even remember this character's name. What a
Hope.
terrible like. Well,
Hope
there's
and
Hope and then
Wes.
the Wes. That's right, because he's like he's gonna say it's Wesley, but or they call him Wesley, and he's like it's Wes, it's Wes. He's like this very nerdy, and then Hope. So they drive Wes to the wishing well for him to take out the coin because they're just like you can't do this. Like, and he's like, we'll watch. Like he's still defiant. He's still probably not gonna do it. He doesn't seem on board, and he's like, what do you? He's like, what could really go wrong? Like, what's the worst that can happen? And then on their way there, we see Todd pushing an SUV full of his enemies
Onto its
over,
side.
just literally pushing it onto its side, and then yelling, "Kneel before Todd! Take your shots.
Take your shots.
Uh, kneel before Todd."
We also see the
Is
redheaded
that
invisible kid get run over by the Impala.
Oh yes, I was gonna mention that. I forgot it. Yes, the invisible kid gets hit by the Impala, which is great. Again, that's his little
He
comeuppance
doesn't
for
die,
being
but
a
he's
creep.
like naked in the street.
Yeah, and he definitely should still have charges pressed against him. But how are you charge the kid peeping who's invisible? Who's gonna believe that anyway? Um, so we get Dean's like, I'll take care of Todd, and Sam's like, okay, I guess I'm heading with
West.
I already forgot his name, Wes. Heading with Wes to get rid of this coin, and Dean, Dean v Todd, what a matchup, what a great scene. Uh, Dean's bending over and saying, "Look, I get what you're going through. Well, I don't get what you're going through." And it can't help but be Dean in the moment. Can't
Yeah.
even pretend like he's actually been picked on or whatever. Nope, nope. Uh, and Todd clocks him,
Yep.
just clocks him, and it's great and it's hilarious. And Dean goes flying, and yeah, so we get that moment, and then we cut to Sam, who is walking into the Wishing Well restaurant with Wes, and is struck by lightning.
Like
Done.
very
Struck.
comically, like a cloud just appears and forms over his head and zaps him with lightning.
Yep.
Cartoonishly.
Which then again, if you like think about the whole grand story of Supernatural, is like so silly.
Yes.
Anyway, it's so silly because it's just Chuck then. It's just Chuck just did this
Well, no, this
to
is
do
a
it.
Babylonian chaos fucker.
Yeah, but ultimately, Chuck has like doesn't he like still like he's the one who puts them through all these things and like puts all these things in their way like constantly, like it's all his design in the end is what it turns out to be.
Well, I don't think it's all his design. I think he like puts them on the path of these things, but like they still have to defeat the Babylonian god, and they still have to defeat the trickster, and they still have to defeat like all these like things he throws in their path.
Yeah, but it's like but then there's all the times when they don't and they die and he's got to bring them back. Like I just always feel like, especially when they did, especially with the episode. What's the episode where they run out of luck?
Hero's journey.
Oh my gosh, Hero's Journey, right? That's the episode that for me is like, oh wait a minute. So you can just turn it on, turn it off at any moment. Like none of these guys did anything themselves. Like that's I guess where it, like
I don't know if
I
I
get
think I'm a
so kind
little
of
more
hung
team
up.
free will than that. Like I think that he like, would put the framework in place and then they would have to like live the life. Just like when they ran out of luck, they still had to deal with the situation they had to deal with. They just weren't getting any godly assistance.
Well, they got assistance in this one because that guy could have easily just run away
Yep.
and Sam could have just been dead.
That's true.
So that's kind of again where I like sit here and go like, well, yeah, this one doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, so Sam struck by lightning. We go inside, we see Hope, and Wes is like, what have you done? She's like, I couldn't let us be apart. I love you more than anything. I had to be with you. He was gonna tear us apart. They were gonna do this. Whatever. Make you wish our love away and all this. And that's when this guy realizes, like, okay, time to pull the plug on this. This got a little out of hand. And just like that, pulls the coin out of the wishing well and turns. And she has no idea who he is,
Yep.
just like the day they met.
Mm-hmm.
No idea why she's there. We also have on the other side of this scene is Dean and Todd, where Todd is like choking out Dean, and then right when the coin is pulled, he loses his power, and Dean's like, "Okay." And then we get the great moment where he says, "I'm gonna make you look really cool. Make sure those guys never mess with you again, even though you're not super strong anymore." And that's when they have the great moment of like Dean pretending that Todd pushes him against the car. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, okay, man, it's enough. I'm done." And he's like, I wouldn't mess with this kid anymore if I were you." So kind of a cool moment for Dean and Todd there after their
Mm-hmm.
brief skirmish. So yeah, we get that, and then we get Sam coming back to life because pulling the coin undid everything.
Yep, it did.
Um, I also, yeah, I omitted a scene I don't like from this episode from this recap. So if you're upset that we didn't talk about the bear and the gun, then you just um,
Yeah.
because that poor bear, just
Also,
feel so
that
bad
scene
for
is
it.
like it doesn't fit into this episode because it's too dark and depressing.
It's so dark and so depressing, and like I feel like I'm surprised they don't put like Netflix or somebody that they don't put like a kind of a even a warning on there about it. Like I think you would these days for sure. I
Yeah.
don't think these days they would do that scene. I think if they could remake this episode, they would cut that scene out. That'd be the first thing they cut out.
Mm-hmm.
I think for sure. Because you're right, it doesn't fit. It's such a like funny, goofy episode, and then you have this really dark. You have that moment, and then you have the hope. Her, yeah, that's. But that was the point of it, right? Was that they're it's like wishing from a genie. It backfires.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, we the boys save the day. We see everybody's kind of storyline, at least the little girl storyline, get wrapped up where the parents come home from Belize, and which they come home off the boat. That's such an interesting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl's holding the teddy bear, which has like a bandage over its head with stuffing coming out of it. And yeah, then they're sitting there, and we have a little bit of a BM scene, and Dean's basically like, "Yeah, I remember hell.
And I don't want to talk
It
about it.
sucked. I don't want to talk about it. I'll tell you I remember it, but I really don't want to talk about it." Yeah, toxic masculinity. That would have been a good rule for this episode for sure. As there's definitely several moments. These early seasons wrought with them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's wishful
That's
thinking.
wishful thinking.
Um, yeah,
How did our
it's
rules
a
play
good
out?
one. Okay, these our numbers are going to be so wildly different.
Yep.
I have a feeling, which is fine. So, how pop culture references? How many did you count?
7.
Yeah, I only got 5.
Okay.
So you definitely caught a couple more than me. I only got the one son of a bitch was like the
The
whatever
guy
the
who's talking
guy
about the Harry and
talking about
Henderson.
the Bigfoot.
Yeah, the Bigfoot.
Yeah, yeah. I love the Harry and the Henderson reference. Yeah, I wrote that one down in case it came up again, in case Dean said it, and then he never did, and then I forgot to cross it out. Anyway, the hell is going on in this town?
2.
Yep, I got 2. Penny in or out of the well?
4.
I got 3, 4. Okay, yeah. Like I said, I was May have been
I
dozing at the end of
counted
the last
I
night too.
counted hopes going into the well, even though we don't see it.
Oh yeah, you don't see it. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I should have marked that. Dean eats or drinks.
I got
Just the two
I got
times.
4.
We got 4.
Mhm.
So I'm see. I was I was not on
He
the
drinks
game.
in the hotel room twice. He drinks a beer one time and he
Oh
drinks
yeah,
with the whiskey when he wakes up.
that's right. Okay, because then he eats. He's eating at the beginning and then eats the
Mhm.
sandwich. Yeah. Okay. The one Dean dream. Oh, I forgot a rule at the beginning. We also were playing the Sammy rule. I
Which
only counted
I
it
only
once.
counted it once too.
Yeah. Um, be careful what you wish for. I got 3 times.
I only got 2.
I think there's like they say it back to back, like really quickly, and then there's like another. There's yeah. We obviously have our shots. Kneel before Todd,
Mhm.
which I kind of I wrote. I think I wrote down 2. I think only because
He says it twice.
you have the he says it. Oh yeah, he says it twice. Yeah, that's right. So then yeah, then it's 2 shots plus 2,
Yep.
4 shots. And then if you paused and played while listening to this episode, I love you more than anything. I counted 5 times. Um, said by Hope to Wes. So that is how they played out. I did not add them up. So 5, 7. Oh, that's like 11, 12, 13. Yeah, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20-ish drinks. And then if you're drinking twice, oh, good. You probably had a fun time.
Yeah, I got 24 just by my count.
20. Cool. Yeah. Sophie got 24 as well.
Okay, good.
Oh, well, that is wishful thinking, Krissy. What episode is up next?
Okay, next up we're zipping back to the end. We're going to season 14, episode 4, Mint Condition.
Ooh. I think I know
It's set in
which one
it's
this
partially
is.
set in a comic book shop.
Oh, maybe I don't.
All right, here's the
Okay, what
rules.
are the rules?
Anytime someone says, "Time to slice and dice," take a drink. When Panthro goes psycho, take a drink. Take a drink for the quote, "It's like a dolphin's belly." Take a drink anytime someone says Halloween. Take a drink anytime someone says trick or treat. And then finally, take a drink for a BM scene.
Yay, BM scenes.
There's not a lot of rules, but the rules that are there play a lot.
Sweet.
There's at least 3 hero rules.
Those are my favorite when we come up with those. I like playing when it's like a few rules, but they hit quite a few times.
Yep, well, that's going to be season 14, episode 4, Mint Condition. Just a few rules, but they hit a lot. They either hit once or they hit many, many times.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for that.
Yep. Thank you for listening. If you're all the way here at the end with us, we appreciate you so much. Please consider if you're here with us here at the end, please consider a couple of things that would really make things wonderful for us. One, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It costs you nothing, but it gives us a big boost. 2, you want more content. You want more Nate and Krissy. So become a member. Go to True Story FM and become a member of the pod. Get some bonus content so you get even more at the end of these episodes. And while you're on True Story FM, give a listen to my other podcasts, the Most Excellent 80s Movies podcast and the Cool Time Dice Hour. Nate, where can people find us in the real world?
You can find us in the real world at the Neighborhood Comedy Theater at 214 West Main in downtown Mesa, Arizona. Our shows are Fridays and Saturday nights at 7:30. And also other times, check out nctphoenix.com for all the dates and details and happenings, and sign up for the email list. They're fun emails. They're good
Yeah.
emails. Um, I get them addressed to a coworker that I like came to the show, and I put a comp in for him, but I put my email, and so now I get our emails but addressed to him.
Nice.
Yeah,
A nice little
it's always
surprise.
like I'm getting someone else's mail. Yeah.
Um, thank you for listening. As always, when you're out there in the world saving people and hunting things, the family business, keep the Gank That Drank motto in mind. Be excellent to each other and party on, dudes.
Party on, dudes.